Welcome to the Erotic Way preview call. This is Kamala Devi, and I'm on the line with Charles Muir. Charles, tell the group where you are.
I'm in Maui, Hawaii, looking at the blue sky, cloudless, with palm trees swaying above me.
Beautiful. Charles was just saying he just got back from the beach and actually has sand on his body. And I'm here in San Diego, California, and we had hail this morning and blue sunny skies this afternoon. So beyond the weather report, I'm thrilled to welcome, we have 117 practitioners or erotic energy professionals who signed up for this call, and untold numbers who will be listening to it recorded. So what our agenda is, after giving you a little introduction to who we are and why why we're calling this gathering of erotic energy professionals, then what we'd like to do is get an overview of sex and spirituality as a field, and I'd like to do that because Charles Muir is often called the grandfather of modern Tantra. It'd be wonderful to hear his perspective. And that, after a nutshell kind of looking at the field, we'll also talk about what's working, what's not working, and get to the revolutionary part of this call, which is really what we can do better as practitioners, how we can serve more. Then we're going to have an invitation. We'd like to extend a heartfelt welcome to our new weekend course. So Charles and I will tell you a little bit about what will be covered in that course and hopefully seduce you to join us. Afterwards, we'll get into the really the juicy improvisation part, which is we've got tons and tons of questions from you. You flooded us really with all these wonderful questions, and so we'd like to just read them and answer them and see how much we can offer you in one short hour together. So with that said, I hope you have a pen and paper handy, and we'll try to. We've got a lot to cover, so we're going to try to cover that as best we can here. So, let's start with big picture. And, I'm curious, Charles, you're having seen this field grow up through the decades that you've been doing this work. What would you say, how would you describe where we're at as a field, now in 2013?
Well, I can look back 10 years or even 50 in this field, and the field gets bigger and bigger. That is, there are more teachers out there, but it is a limitless market. Everybody needs more education on how to be a more conscious lover, a more successful lover. People need to know that there's sexual energy as a spiritual force, crucial in awakening Kundalini and higher consciousness. And there's an awful lot of people that have only been offered neurotic choices when it comes to sexuality. And they've ended up wounded and wounding others. And there's a need for sexual healers as well as educators. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited. I run what is arguably the most successful teacher training program. The most successful Tantra teachers that are out there use these methods. And one of the things I do is help them recognize, look at your market. Mm-hmm. Your local church needs this course. And devised a way where they went to the church and said, I'd like to donate this money that comes in for the program and donate 50% of it to the church. And the church supplied the room and got the people and got itself a nice several $1,000s of tuition payments. And it was just a matter of being willing to shine your light in where you think it's dark. My church do a course on conscious sexuality. That's the thing that the priests hear the most about. It's bad at home because of sex. it's bad at home because all my life I was told don't do it, and now the church is telling me it's okay to do it. But I don't know how, and my husband obviously doesn't know how. So we're a force of change, those of us willing to go out on the edge and educate people.
Absolutely. It's beautiful to really be a part of a wave. It feels like there's this. I know you like to. Charles Muir has many famous quotes, and one of them's not being a part of a movement, but in fact, this is a very powerful movement. And I came in. So I'm a teacher, an author, and most notably recently have been doing a lot of media and also events, so transitioning from the very powerful private work into how can we make love and awaken rooms full of people. And a lot of the work that I've been doing is in group. So my unique kind of perspective on the field, having been just in the last decade, is I've seen a radical change from the lone wolf paradigm, where individuals who have this calling, and it really isn't a career, it's a calling, so that people don't really have an option. If they're going to be true to themselves, they're healers, they start to do this work with or without training. I'm seeing a lot of people who come into this work, but they don't have enough support. They don't know, there's not enough association, and they're doing it in shame. And in the last 10 years, we've moved from being lone wolves into being pack animals, which is really more our nature, is to surround ourselves with other healers and teachers and to learn from each other and raise each other's vibration. So here in San Diego, we've created really a mecca of Western modern Tantra teachers. Last I counted, there's like 16, powerful teachers right here that I, get together with in my living room, and we co-create events, often hosting Charles and other national leaders, but Charles is coming down to San Diego more and more. And so there's this rich bed of the synergy here in San Diego, in San Francisco, in New York, but that's the exception. Across the country, there's still people practicing in bedrooms and really secrecy. And so I'm thrilled to be able to offer, through the phone call, for those of you who can't come to my living room, it's wonderful to reach out and offer you support. And so one of the things that we notice is, in observing the field, some of the things that are working. And I want to hear, Charles, what you see, the trends that's in terms of success, professional success in this field. What do you think is working?
Well, everything is dependent on the practitioner. What level are they comfortable in being an educator? You do not have to get into the bed or do hands-on sexual healing to be a tantric educator. Mm-hmm. You need to know more than your clients. And mm-hmm. you don't have to make this your sole profession. I recommend people that come through my teacher training to become a certified tantric educator. I tell them, look, don't let go of your day job. Your day job will let go of you. Keep it. To it. And as you gain success, you'll be able to let go of this other stuff. But that's a part of you. Why stop being computer programming and making big contracts and also be a Tantra teacher? You don't have to stop being a computer programmer. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That part of you is valuable, and that part of your brain is valuable. Add Tantra to it. So whether you're a yoga teacher who's competing with, God, there's like a yoga school on every block just about it. There were 3 of them in the little town of Paia yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And it's like you need to specialize as a yoga teacher, and Tantra is a yoga. There's a lot of people out teaching Tantra, but very few teaching Tantra yoga. So learning how to integrate, learning how that ha and tha energy of hatha relates to Tantra yoga and Kundalini, and you add it as a piece of your curriculum. You don't have to be a board speaker and give up everything else. You add this to your curriculum.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
With problems about their sexual energy, if you do massage and people's pelvis is always getting rotated or the sacrum out, that's a second chakra issue on a structural level, but it starts on the level of energy and psyche. And Tantra healing goes right to that level. Let's get in here to where the energy is. Let me access their whole psyche and move the blocked energy. And that's the beauty of the Tantra practices, that both as practices and healing modalities, is they move stuck energy and they move it quickly. And
beautiful, yeah. It's
with great pleasure.
It's powerful medicine. And I think one of the things I find that's working, on the level of business and success is that in recent years it's just been more and more socially acceptable. I'm finding, not only are we gathering together and sharing ideas, but there's a field consciousness that's waking up and accepting it more as a natural alternative to just talk therapy. And so with that social acceptance, a lot of the practitioners are coming out of their own secrecy and shame and practicing more congruently. And it's wonderful to see the balance of people doing their own work, their own Tantra, as well as teaching it, as opposed to getting upside down in their practice where they're giving, and not balancing. So I'm really seeing that people are a little more balanced because of this social acceptance around it and the availability of other Tantra buddies and practitioners that we can, keep juicing ourselves up from conversations like today's.
Those tantrikas, those people who practice Tantra, somehow make the transition from old age consciousness, sex is bad, dirty, you'll go to hell, whatever, to a new value and belief system that love is important, and sexual love is an energetic way to convey your love to another that leaves you healthier and younger and gives you pleasure, and that pleasure is actually a good thing for you. The scientific research about the benefit of sex, volumes and volumes being written now about this. The new book by Naomi Wolf called Vagina, a Biography.
I don't know if you cut out. It's Vagina, a Biography. It sounds like a fabulous recommendation.
Naomi Wolf. This is my doctor calling me. I'm going to leave off a minute. I'll be right back.
Sure, thank you. Charles is at the skin doctor's office there in Hawaii, so he's going to take a break. But what I was going to move on to is what I'm seeing is not working in the field. There's, unfortunately, because the demand is so great, there's rarely a practitioner I talk to who's not busy, overwhelmed, and burnt out. I'm thrilled to see that there's more opportunity to practice and more people are juicing themselves up, but I'm not seeing balance in that. And then for those of you who saw my video when you signed up for this class, I also find a very common theme amongst erotic professionals is that they aren't really rooted in business, that their practices, their business practices and standards are not as professional as I'd like to see, especially since integrity and ethics are so core to success on the path of self-realization, for enlightenment. To really have impeccable ethics is very powerful, so you're not leaking energy. And I see my business as a spiritual practice. And, I love supporting people who are spiritual or energy-minded in stepping up their business. But I have a lot of compassion, and I want to just take a moment, because if you're on this call and you're called to heal, touch, move sexual energy, it's a calling, and it's not a career. So I do get that sometimes the details of how to actually be an entrepreneur feel very conflicting, or feel like they're in contrast to the essence of what you're wanting to do, which is contribute to our collective vision. Together, we want to heal the planet. We want to heal our sex shame, and we're all doing our part. And we're called to do that. But to do it even bigger and to do it even better means learning some business skills, so that we can, be on a bigger stage doing it. That brings us, to the real revolutionary part of this call, which is what can we do better as a field. And just before I go on to this next segment, I want to say it's Charles's intention to have a meeting with his skin doctor and to join us again. And if he doesn't join us, we'll send him.
I'm here.
Oh, yay! Good. We're blessed to have you back. And let us know if you need to cut out again. But
I got 10. I have 10 minutes and.
Perfect, Charles. I'm going to
40 minutes late.
I'm going to make best use of your next 10 minutes with us, okay?
All right.
I'm going to skip ahead to some of the questions that only you can answer, okay? So I was swamped by questions from callers. And many of those questions, like Rahaja said, I can't think of one, but I think that listening will help me because I've embarked on this new journey as a Dakini just a few months ago, and that's the majority of people who didn't ask. But the other half of the call is like, hey, I'm marketing in the South and I have restrictive laws. How do I market? And we won't get into the total details of legalities on this call. But I do want to hear from you, Charles, where Lex asks us, what's the difference between the weekend that you're offering, in the first weekend of March in comparison to your Source School Tantra, conscious loving intermediate weekend? So many people on the call have done work with Charles. Can you give us a distinction of the work that you normally offer and what we're offering this weekend?
Well, a lot of what we're going to do this weekend is going to be in the direction of making you a better marketer and opening your eyes to what areas you can educate people in the tantric arts. And we'll also learn how to, if you want to practice the Dakini arts, and I'm assuming she's meaning the sexual arts, and practice various practices with your clients, there are ways you can do that legally. There are ways to get clients so that you don't have to worry about being busted. And we're going to touch on some of those things of what not to do and what you can do to increase your client basis.
Beautiful. And I know Charles is excited to be sharing a deeper practice, taking the sacred spot massage to a deeper demonstration, which from a master level, when practicing that in a room full of teachers and healers, he can really get us into some of the subtleties. So there will be hands-on, deep practices and teachings, not just business help.
People will learn 9 things to change G-spot massage to sacred spot massage, very specific techniques, where even if you know the 9 different strokes for this tiny area, which most people don't, they just poke around there, you'll learn 9 other things that you can do to amplify the energy, to assist psychological release, to move blocked energy, to awaken sleeping connections so that complete neural-brain connections happen. It's going to be an awesome event just to watch. And it's very rare for people to see this in work. It's usually just done privately.
Beautiful. And we're committed to giving some tips for those of you who won't be joining us on March 1st and 2nd. So I want to ask Charles, because one of the common questions that we got was about men marketing to women. So I want to just ask for some advice. Paul wants to know how to make women feel safe in setting up a Tantra massage session, safe enough. And it's not just marketing, but the conversation that you might have. And I'm wondering, if you just have a little inspiration for Paul on how to make it a safer invitation.
Well, I'm not clear if Paul is just inviting a lady friend to receive Sacred Spot or is planning on going into a practice of giving this. But if he's doing that, he should be well educated. And part of that education is what a woman needs emotionally. She certainly doesn't need to be told, you need a Sacred Spot massage. You're all fucked up. You're all blocked. You're shut down. It needs to be presented to her as an offering to the goddess within her, that she doesn't have to perform, just receive the gift of Paul's totally focused mind, joined to his breath, his skills in this art form of Sacred Spot, and it is really a skill, and his connection to God. And if the woman can just receive the love, the energy is going to shift. The man needs to know what to do and how to be. The woman needs to trust. And part of her trusting is she might then release energy in a way that Paul might not feel is fair. She might blame him for doing things wrong or doing things he never did, or because a woman can access deep psychological patterns from the Sacred Spot work. So he needs to be grounded. He needs to not be defensive when that happens. And he needs to assist her in dumping without getting dumped upon. So trust. And you know what? If you get that with a woman and you have a successful client, she'll tell her friends. Women tell each other if you're good at this. The best, what we're going to teach is the best type of client is one who's referred by someone else. And we're going to teach during our little course, our 2.5-hour course, a little bit about referral magic and how to increase your business several-fold just by using a couple of principles. And during the weekend course, we're going to go into that more, because the best, simple, most elegant way to get more clients is the way we will teach during our weekend.
Absolutely. And I have to say that, I think for the first 2 years of my practice, I did a lot of marketing, and then it was completely overwhelmed, high demand of word of mouth. And a lot of those, all of my teachers were trained by Charles. So, so that wisdom really, really helps. But yeah, word of mouth, getting to a place where we're doing the word of mouth work is the next level. I'm back to doing more advertising now because I'm holding so many events and larger gatherings. So I wonder, Charles, do you have time for one more question, or are you?
I have time for one more.
Beautiful.
Get in touch with them, and I said 10 minutes, and I'll be there.
Excellent. So Sherry Lynn wants to know, and I think you're uniquely qualified to talk about what credentials and training someone needs to do this work. How, what do you see as the kind of requirement to actually doing this work?
Well, if she, Googles Tantra teacher training, there's 3 or 4 people that do trainings that are a little bit accredited out the world. There are a lot of other people giving teacher certifications that haven't been certified by anybody themselves. And don't necessarily know a lot. So she should do some research to see who is doing teacher training, what the cost is, how that fits their budget, and who has the most successful students who become teachers. One of my teachers, Swami Satchidananda, he used to talk about the Shivananda lineage. Swami Shivananda had trained so many yogis that they all came to America, and he said, by the fruit, you will know the tree. And you want a teacher where their fruit is out there being successful and has gleaned acceptance, and you want a training that empowers you, doesn't just teach you things, but actually empowers you to be a teacher. And that will be part of our weekend program. Kamala and I, we will do an empowerment ritual to transmit a form of Shakti so that you are inclined to put yourself out there, that you get it on an energetic level. This is my work, I'm going for it.
Beautiful.
But people should go out and educate themselves. If you wanted to be a psychologist, you go and you get your degree and you choose your specialty. I think a lot of our listeners have a sort of have a degree of one form or another. It could be massage, it could be psychotherapy. This is a specialty area, and go to a school that will certify you where you will know enough to be successful. And, you know, the last thing I would say before going away is check out my school, sourcetantra.com, and the lineage and where our certifications are accepted in colleges and growth centers. You want to be a good Tantra teacher, I'll see you down the Tantra path. But a good starting point is to join Kamala and I for this breakthrough weekend we're going to be sharing. I'm excited by it, and I'll see you all there.
Thank you, Charles. We love you. Thanks for your wisdom.
I love you, Kamala. Bye-bye.
Blessings. I just have to take a big breath. I love Charles's sincere enthusiasm for this work. He has just awakened so many teachers. And one of the things that I'm a huge support of is the integrative path. So I don't believe it's just one lineage anymore. I think that we've gotten to a level of consciousness where it's include and transcend, and that being a collective, learning from different teachers, getting multiple, school influences can really enhance our toolbox so that every client, gosh, this is a terrible metaphor, the whole if you only have a hammer, it looks like a nail, just does not apply well to the Tantra field if every client comes to you. So sorry about the mixed metaphor. I do want to go back to talking about what we can do better as practitioners. So there's many mistakes that a lot of erotic entrepreneurs are making that are leading to the burnout that we talked about, and then also not being able to attract clients because they can't articulate exactly what their offer is. And some of the, key points that I want you to get on how to avoid that is to make your business, your spiritual practice, isn't just a paradigm shift. It's actually, should change the way you show up to your day. If your spiritual practice is TM meditation, then you get your ass on the pillow for 20 minutes every morning and sometimes every night. But if that's your spiritual practice, you do the discipline. And if you're called to do this work, whether it's sexual healing or erotic dancing, then you want to be doing a daily practice of this even on the days that you don't have clients. The takeaway here is that if your business is feast and famine, it's not because of the cycles of the moon or just the energy you're putting off, which I know that a lot of people are really tuned in and sensitive to, who they're being is what they're attracting. But on days when I'm, my most contracted and my most challenged, if I have a discipline and a practice of, cultivating my business, making those calls, making invitations, writing sales copy, I just have a regular practice of putting my time in, then the universe comes back and floods me with the abundance that I really have. So, my question to you and the homework really is, what's your schedule of when you work on your back office work, which is a lot of people are, focused on changing the sheets and creating the beautiful session space, which is so important, but then they forget that outside of the session space there's a computer and and there's a whole business mode, which can be every bit as sexy as being, belly to belly with your clients. So the other piece, for those of you that are doing one-on-one work and feeling sort of stuck in it and want to leverage more, is taking your work out to more group sessions and events and workshops, which can be so juicy. The group mind that synergy is really creative. And I definitely have a whole teaching we'll get into during the weekend course, but what I want to say on this call is that practice, even if you don't like speaking in front of a group, the very practice of gathering a sacred circle and holding space, it can be the best feeder to your private practice. It's such a wonderful way. People can get your card and they can get your email and they can hear about you word of mouth, but if they don't, if they spend some time in your living room or at a coffee shop, if there's nothing else, they spend some time in a sacred circle listening to some Tantra teachings, or you just sharing your story, then they can say, oh, here's what's going on for me and how can you help? And it's the best way to build a private practice. And I don't care, and I suggest you start off with free groups in the beginning, and then when the demand is great enough, you can start to basically get your clients to pay you for the best possible way to market you. It's really quite a treat when people are paying for events that then turn into higher paying clients. So lots and lots more tips about marketing and good business practices for the weekend. And I want to save this tip about avoiding burnout for after I tell you a little more about the weekend. So the reason that I was called to offer the Erotic Way, which is a course that I had written, but to offer it with Charles in a weekend intensive, is because what I'm seeing is an amazing demand for teachers and such a gap between that demand and how the teachers are able to convert or show up. So the thing that saddens me is a lot of teachers only get these deep business practices when they do Charles's 10-day training or they do some other certification program, and there's lots of wonderful programs. But what about those of you who are already doing your work or spontaneously had awakenings? Like, how do you get the support from masters like myself and Charles? And I'm also literally at a place in my practice where I can't handle the abundance that I have. I've got a 3-month waiting list, and I want to actually condition some of my community in San Diego to take on that, to carry that flag. And the concern I have with making referrals to other practitioners is, frankly, I'm not confident in their business practices and their ethics and their boundaries. And I feel like if I could get all my friends and lovers in a room with Charles for a weekend, that we can powerfully upgrade, your business practices in such a way that I'd be happy to refer people to you. So, my promise to you in the Erotic Way weekend on March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd is that from the moment you come in, through all of the both hands-on demos and business teachings, through the whole journey that we take you on, that what Charles and I are going to do is find your strengths, like really what lights you up and what you're here to do, and we're going to, turn up the volume on that. And then what we're going to do is find your weaknesses, all the places where you're kind of stuffing maybe your invoices under the, not filing stuff, or wherever your business is leaking money or leaking opportunity or passing clients up. We're going to say, if this is your weakness, let's stretch it. Let's empower you. Let's help you grow so that you can have a well-rounded practice. And by the end of the course, you can say, wow, I know who I am, what I have to offer. I'm totally motivated to get out in the world in a bigger way. And the areas where I need help, I know I need to work on them, and I have tools to work on them. Or I can, even imagine this, outsource some of that to, or trade some of that out. But there's ways to get your business back into balance so that you're in flow again. And that's what we want to do this weekend. So I really hope you'll join us in San Diego. And we've, put a lot of love into the curriculum, a lot of thought into the program, and then to make it, to make the invitation as juicy and seductive as possible. I think $500 for the weekend with two masters like this is a steal, especially considering that, you might get one or two clients more and completely pays for itself. So there's this is just a love offering from Charles and me. And we know that it's going to bring you so much abundance, especially in 2013. I think it's a good year to be like, let me upgrade my business so that I can, bring it in, and your value will be reflected back to you as a result of coming to this. And if $500 right now is tight, we have a 2-pay system. So, there's no reason not to come at 2 payments of $250. Also, for just 24 hours, I'm inviting everybody on the call, sign up within 24 hours, and you're going to get $50 off. So go to the link that's in your inbox right now. So it's kamaladevi.com/poly/eroticwayweekend, and sign up to get that $50 off, and then you're going to make your money back as soon as you come back from our little weekend course and schedule your first client or two. So that is so exciting for me, and I want to share with you a few more answers to these juicy questions. But first, how to avoid burnout. This is so important. I think at this stage, most of us know, if we haven't already got a practice of, when working with energy, how to protect ourselves so we're not going codependent with the wounded, taking on their karma, or letting them be vampires to our own essential energy. I'm not going to get into energetic practices. We will on the weekend. But I really feel that if you don't currently have a practice before and after every single session, that you're giving away your vital life force. So there's lots of different practices, and I'm not even partial to one because I mix it up myself. But, whether that's taking a bath or visualizing amber light or meditating with crystals or just smudging. There's tons of great practices. At a different level, however, that's just keeping you neutral. And even if you're protecting your energy all the time, you will get burnt out doing giving, and not sincerely getting back. And so, the big key on the the key here is to start to open up the flood channels of receiving. And I know even Charles will have formulas around at least every 10 sessions you give, you get one back. And there's lots of, practitioners who have different standards around that. And those are wonderful practices. But when you're getting back, are you really receiving? And what I find is that people called to give and serve and contribute like we are often in the giving mode so much that even when it's their turn to get a session, they don't know how to drop in, and they don't access the infinite source that is replenishing. And so what I want for you is to open up your receptivity, and to do that in a huge way, not just every 10 sessions when you get something for yourself, but the receptivity that you get in each client session. So I know that if I think I'm the teacher who's appeared because the student is ready and I'm here to impart, inspire, transmit to them, that I'm actually in illusion. That the real receiving is every client that shows up is coming to teach me something. And I approach every session with that awe of how much I get from each of these sessions about who I am or what I'm doing in the world. And when they say thank you, and I get the letters about how they've changed their lives, like I'm working, not perfect at it, but I'm working on really taking that in. And what's more is I ask them, I'm not, it's not a narcissism or a too proud to do it, but I really ask people, what's the most valuable thing you got out of this session? And in asking them that, I stay open and receptive, like I just gave my dharma and they're giving me back a reflection, and that's really powerful. And in doing that a few times, like I remember every day why I do this work. And it fills my cup, and I have more to overflow, and the abundance keeps coming. So that's my biggest tip on how we can do what we do even better. And since we have 15 minutes here, I'm going to just have fun with some of the other questions that you wrote in on. I have Alex, who wants to know, how can Tantra complement a traditional life coaching program? And I picked this question because it's an easy one for me as a life coach. I don't see a tremendous separation between Tantra and life coaching, in that Tantra it permeates every aspect of life. It's embracing the life force energy itself. And life coaching has more to do with the function and the flow of like how are you playing the game of life. But Tantra as a path is actually a path towards enlightenment that leaves nothing out. And so the fact that we might focus on our sexual energy or relationship or love is just part of the whole picture. So practically speaking, if you've got a life coaching practice and you've got clients who are saying to you, help me play the game of life better, then one of the best ways to do that is to look at, well, how is, and start to, through assessment, and we'll teach you tools for how to assess clients this weekend. But when you assess them and you find that they need sex and relationship and erotic energy support, then it's just the most natural extension. Great, let's do these practices. Let's take it to a hands-on level. Let's enhance all of your life with this piece that's been neglected in society. So it's a natural marriage. And then the other way around, because I actually literally got the other question, which is that I teach conscious sexuality, and I want to start integrating white Tantra and just coaching. So if you have clients that are coming to you and they're used to having massage or energy work or going into trance states with you, and you're feeling like, hey, their lives would be genuinely enhanced by more coaching, more tantric teachings, then I suggest you introduce those subtly at first, which is let me offer you some of the erotic arts, and either before we go into session, I'm going to give you some teachings and suggestions, and then afterwards we're going to go into some homework and some practices so that they can have a balance. And somebody else who was, okay, so that was, I think, Jan had asked that question, but there's one other question that really applies here, and it's from Martin. He wants to know, how do I get people to commit to their Tantra training and do their homework? And we all know how challenging it is as a coach or teacher to offer, like to see so clearly what could support somebody and to make a suggestion and, you know, give them a tool and then feel like it never gets applied, or, you know, just they leave your session room and the tool is right there on the table. And what I want to ask first and foremost, if you're inquiring about this, Martin, is that homework really the right thing for them? So I always ask my clients to take on their own homework, because that way I'm not foisting upon them what I think they should do, what I think would enhance their lives. Nobody knows better about one's path towards self-realization but the self. So I will often, you know, make a bunch of suggestions or just provide an environment with so many teachings, and then I'll say, now what of this, you know, feast do you want to take home in a doggy bag? And what are you really committing to? And one of the key ways to hold people to doing their homework, if you really care about your clients, you follow up with them about their homework, which means you schedule the next session and you say, let's schedule a session when you'll have that homework done. Or, you know, hey, we've got a session next week. I'd like to see, you know, I'd like a report at the beginning of the week. You ask how the homework go. People will do stuff when they're accountable for it. So, and by the way, what a rich gift to, you know, make sure that your session work doesn't stop when you're not present, to make sure that they're really taking their practice to the next level. So to sum that up, you know, I'm going to practice it here. We just had an hour of lots of exciting ideas from, you know, Charles Muir's vast experience, and then my, you know, practical modern practice. I want to know what of all of these teachings is most resonant for you. What one thing do you want to actually apply in your profession? And I want you to set it up to win, because I know you're probably like, wow, there's so much here. I could do this and this and this. And I want you to take the one low-hanging fruit and do it right away, which is after we say namaste, you take action. What's one thing you can do right away? And if not today, then this week for sure. And then for accountability, you know, I would love to hear from you. Many of you are connected with me on Facebook. I'm going to, you know, inquire on my wall, and I want you to write back and tell me what your homework was, or just tattletale on yourself so that you can have some social pressure to do it. Or send me an email if you're not on Facebook, and let us know what you got out of this class, not by what you learned, but what you actually applied. And for those of you who are coming to the weekend, I'm going to be asking you how many of you were on the call, and what did you get done between now and then. So that's in 2 weeks, March 1st and 2nd. Of course, the homework that I would like to see you do is to get off the phone with me, go to the web page, and just sign up for a weekend in San Diego with Charles Muir and myself, because I know that if you invest in your business, that not only are you going to make just exponential returns on that investment right away. Like, I'm really, really confident about that. But I also know that just by making that commitment, you'll start upgrading your practice, and your commitment is going to be reflected in the commitment of your clients that are going to come to you. So I really hope that you take advantage of the $50 off by signing up today, and then send me an email. Let me know what other homework you got from this. It has been an absolute pleasure. I think we really covered a lot here, and we've got lots more questions that we got from this call, and we'll be covering in the course. So I just want to say thank you to Stuart, who said, hey, what are the steps in creating a successful Tantra business? There's no way we could have talked about that today, but we will on March 1st and 2nd. Kathleen wants to know some grounding techniques for after session. We'll do that for sure. Kelly wants to know tips on determining fair pricing. Ooh, that's a good conversation. It's an important one, that your prices are really reflecting, that you're really getting valued for your sessions is what I want. So Sue wants to know what to say to people to get clients, especially when you want to work on women who've been abused. And Judy asks, what's the best way to advertise a men's group? Maybe you'll get to hear from my husband this weekend, because he just launched a men's group, the Ethical Stud. So last two, shout out to Rhonda and Amanda. Rhonda says that she struggles with copywriting and content writing, and wants to know some of the key phrases to use in attracting clients, and also keeping the work conscious, the sexuality really conscious, and even conscious kink. Finally, not finally, there's tons of questions, but the last one I'll read today is that Amanda wants to know how to develop a personal sex life while being a provider. And I will just, close by saying how valuable and important that is, that we are sincerely nurturing ourselves first, and that the work that we do in our profession is an overflow of, the love and the sex and the consciousness that we're experiencing in our own lives. And, for any of you that have the imposter complex that you're called to teach this, but your life isn't perfect, like, total empathy, compassion for that. I completely get that we teach what we most need to learn, and kudos to you for heeding that calling. And, finding that balance where your needs are so met that you're not being needy towards your clients, that you're not getting any of your personal needs met from your clients. You're actually just showing up to serve. And the need that I'm working on at the end of sessions, as I mentioned, is just taking in the gratitude, the reflection of the light we are, and a reminder that we are all here to heal this planet, to bring it back to life and health and balance with our sexual energy, which is, our creative energy and our life force energy. So thank you for showing up and sharing with me today. I'm really looking forward to meeting you and playing with you on March 1st and 2nd, and can't wait to get your posts. Sending you love, light, blessings, and tremendous abundance. Namaste.